Wave first, sound next. Hi everybody, how's it going out there, wherever you are? I'm here in Dublin, in Fair House, in our centre, where I deliver these webinars every week on a Tuesday. 7, no, I don't start them at 7, I prepare at 7 and then I start at 8. So hello to everybody who's on the different platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Any of you folks are watching tonight. If you have any comments or questions, you can just put them into the comments box and it's going to be fed around to me on Zoom. So everybody on Zoom, how you doing? I've got you all in front of me here. I can see you. I see you. And thank you very much for joining me tonight and joining us as a group, because we're all here and interested. And if you have any comments throughout the evening or any questions, you can also pop your comments into the little chat box. I might ask you throughout the webinar to practice the thumbs up, maybe, not sure, or the smiley face, or using the chat, but I might not. But don't worry, I won't put you on the spot. Generally with webinars, I like to get participation. If you want to make me feel good, if you want to help me, help you, help me, help you. If you want to help me to deliver this, pop in a few comments into the chat. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like there's something happening, okay? And the other thing is that if you want to put on your camera, you can. James is playing a video game there in the background, so it's fine. Hi, James. I just say hello to everybody who I can see here anyway. Richard, Eric's the host. James, hi James. Ingvar, nice to see you. Brendan, how you doing? Thanks for sticking on your camera, Richard. And anybody else can do that, and it's gone off again. That's okay too. Safia, nice picture there of the sea, Safia. Fiona, how's it going, Fiona? There, I can see you in a swing with some friends or something. And Anna, great to have you. And Holly, thank you so much for being here. Now, as is traditional at the start of every webinar, I like to ask people, where are you from? Now, would you do me the kind honor of telling me where you're from? Pop it into the chat. Are you living in Ireland? If you're living in Ireland, where are you logging in from? Or what city are you from? What country are you from? I am interested. I really like to do that, because when you're talking to a camera, it's just, I don't really know where you are. I need to kind of at least try and somehow locate you somewhere. So if you could pop your city or your county or your country into the chat, that would be fabulous for me. Richard Balbriggan, fantastic. Hi, Richard. Where was I out there recently? Not far from Balbriggan. There's a big house there, beautiful place to visit. Ardgillan Castle, I think that's what it's. Beautiful place. I was out there recently with my wife. Nice spot. Safia from Pakistan. Hi, Safia. Thanks for logging in all the way from Pakistan. Beautiful. And Brendan from Dublin. Hi, Brendan. Same city at the moment. Fiona from Cork. Beautiful Cork. Fernanda from Mallow in County Cork. I had a Fernanda on this some time back from Cork as well. I don't know if it's the same person. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But folks, it's great to have you on board. And thanks a million for taking the time to give me your time to learn a little bit about this stuff. Okay, now, my webinar tonight is solely based on this book, Dianetics. Dia means through, netics means basically the mind, and was written by L. Ron Hubbard. L. Ron Hubbard also developed a subject called Scientology, which means a study of knowledge, but that was developed after Dianetics. This subject came beforehand, and this is what we're going to be going over tonight. And if you have any connections or like questions between the two of those, because Scientology is very popular in the media, at least, you can send a little message in there to Eric, who'll be able to answer any questions that you have. But tonight, it's going to be on this particular subject here. So the promise here is I'm going to give you some data about how to stop negative thinking. All right. At the end of this, it's going to be about 45 minutes. Maybe we might reach an hour. But you're going to learn some really key basics that you need to learn and will really help you in your life. I want you all to stay until the end, because I have a special offer at the end for anybody who stays. Okay, so yeah, if you could, that would be great. And also, if you have any distractions while you're watching this webinar, turn them off. So if you've got the TV on and you're watching that with one eye, you're watching a football game with one eye, as a friend told me he was doing recently when he was at one of my webinars, you're watching the TV with one eye, you're watching the webinar with the other, turn off the TV. Okay, now if you've got kids around, don't turn off the kids, okay? Just, I don't know, invent something for them to play. I don't know, what do you do when kids are running around the place? If you have pets and they're jumping all over you, I don't know, can you put them outside? I don't know, just lock them into the other room or something. I don't mind, whatever. The reason I'm saying that is I want you to get this completely tonight, because I'm going to be talking directly to you. We don't have a huge amount of people on this webinar tonight. There are some people still coming in there, I can see. We don't have a huge amount of people, so it's going to be very much personally adjusted towards yourself. Okay. Now, just one more person in the waiting room there, I think. Okay, good. Now, folks, so let's get cranking on this particular subject. Who am I to be talking about this anyway? I have been involved in Dianetics for over 25 years. I started in 1992. So how many years is that? It's a long time. And I stuck with this because it works and for no other reason. I've got trained in Dianetics over many years. I'm a trained Dianetics therapist. I'll explain to you more about that at the end. And I've been delivering webinars and seminars and lectures and different things all around the country at different points. Over the last 2 years, due to COVID, it's been mainly online, and that's become popular, and so therefore this is what we're doing these days. And so that's a little bit of a history about myself and why I'm doing this particular subject and why this is what I want to present to you, as opposed to everything else that you could be possibly exposed to. Now, as with negative thinking, it's a subject that we're all familiar with. Now, I've had it multiple times throughout my life, multiple times. Even as a teenager, I was very shy, thinking, oh no, I'm so shy. I can't talk to girls. I don't think I'll go for that, play music, and, I wouldn't be any good at this. And just these negative thoughts, which were definitely affecting my ability to actually get somewhere in life and teenage years. That changed when I came across this subject, and I'm going to go over that with you very shortly as well, and why and how. But before I do, I want to tailor-make this webinar for you. So what I would like to find out from you, and this is your first participation exercise, I would like to find out one example from each of you, if you don't mind, of what would be a negative thought that you want to handle. What negative thought do you want to change? It could be a general thing, such as, I just don't think I'm good enough, or I'm useless, or I hate all men, or I hate all women. Or it could be a thought of, I'll never make it, or I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I'm constantly stressed. So I'd like to take this time to ask you for one example, if you don't mind popping into the chat, of what negative thinking or negative thought you would like to address. What is the negative thinking you would like to address? If it's not you, maybe there's somebody that you know. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribble them on the board. By the way, when I was in school, I did Latin instead of art. Okay? That is the result. I'm sorry. Okay? But I did like Latin, and I got an A in it in my intermediate certificate at the age of 15. Okay. Okie dokie, let's see. Fernando, I'm able to speak English correctly. Okay, no problem, Fernanda. Well, we'll see what we can do. You will fail. Oh, this is an example. I will fail. Too difficult to succeed. Oh, I love that. Well, actually, no, I don't love it, but thank you, Sophia. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Anybody else wants to add an example, please do. I'd love to see it. Okay, so here's the first one. I will fail. Good. There's a negative thought. Nice chunky one. What else did you put down here? Too hard to succeed. Too difficult to succeed. Okay? Too difficult. It's too difficult. It's too much for me. Good. Very good. Example. Next one. Thank you, Sophia. Oh, I'm sorry, Fernanda. This was your example. Not able to learn. Okay, learn English. We just put learn. Okay, for the moment. Thank you. I thought you were making a comment. That's why I thought you were making a comment about the webinar. My apologies. Brendan, don't do the interview as I probably won't get the job anyway. Okay, again, I won't get it. I won't get the job. All right. Thank you very much, Brendan. And hi, Anna from the US, who's signing in on Instagram. Good to have you on board. Okay, Kimberly, can't find a man that shares my values. Okay, let's put in never find a man. Just to summarize it. Never find a good man. Okay, brilliant. I hope I summarized that okay. Anybody else want to pop one in? If you do, please pop it into the chat. Okay, so these are some good examples of negative thoughts. Now, I want to just jot some of them down. If anybody else wants to pop another example in, do that. Okay, fail, too difficult. These are kind of similar, aren't they? I'm going to fail at, it's too difficult. I'm not able to learn English. I won't get it, which means basically I'm going to fail. I'm never going to find a good man. Essentially, I'm going to fail. Okay? Okay. And it's too difficult. And not able. Okay. So essentially, if you look at all of these thoughts, right, they're all centralized around, I'm not going to make it. It's not going to happen. I can't do it. It's not going to occur. All right. And these are really, really good examples of negative thoughts. Now, next exercise. Now I want to ask you, what are the effects of those negative thoughts on you and your life? So what would be some effects that this negative thinking has on your life? If you don't mind popping in a short comment, how does it affect you? How do these thoughts affect you in your life? Okay, and well, let's have a look. Low self-esteem. Thank you. Very good. That's who wrote that one down? Richard. Yes. Very good. Opinion of self goes down. Exactly, because you're thinking, you know what, I'm not going to make it, and then you kind of go, well, damn it, I should have done this and I should have done that. I know exactly how that feels, because as a teenager, I remember regretting so many things. I could have got into football and basketball. I love basketball, and it does affect your self-esteem, that's for sure. Okay, stay stuck and not move forward. Stay in comfort zone. Okay, I love that one. Who said that? Brendan. Yeah, comfort zone. You stay stuck. Okay, stuck in comfort zone. So you might have dreams of something that you'd love to achieve, but yet you don't think you're ever going to make it, so you stay where you are. Okay, good one. Kimberly, I'll pull in an abusive man. Very good. So, I'm sorry. You pull in abusive men. Very good. Yeah. Thank you. So it affects the relationships. Safi, I feel very down every other day, and then it takes a lot of energy to recuperate. Okay. So then, just put down feeling down. Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much. And then Fernanda, procrastinating, stating things, and then don't continue. Very good. Procrastinate. Yeah. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow or the next day. Okay, so these are really, really good examples, folks. Thank you. And Holly, becoming quite emotionally unstable. Okay, emotions. Okay, very good. So these are the effects, okay? And these are really good examples, folks, by the way. And now I want to just I want to quickly jot those down. If you could bear with me for a second. Self-esteem, comfort zone, discipline, yeah. Feeling down, procrastinate, and emotions. Okay. I just want to get this so that I can kind of relate to it throughout the webinar. All right. Now, I want you to just have a think about this. You don't have to write down anything. If those negative thoughts are there and they are having these effects, and let's say it's been going on for 2 years, just think about, you don't have to write anything, what will it be like in another 5 years' time if you don't handle it? Now, I'm not trying to say, oh, please, oh, you have to do this. Oh, please listen to Vincent now. He's like, oh, bow down to Vincent. The point is that if these things aren't handled, and this is what's happening, obviously, if it's not changed, it will continue, and it could cause further problems. These things tend to build up. All right. Now, so the next thing we need to have a look at is the facts of the matter. Okay, so we have this, and thank you all very much, folks, for giving me those examples. You're making me happy because I'm getting the feedback, and I really appreciate it genuinely. There's nothing worse than delivering a webinar, and you don't know if everybody's left, mentally and physically. Sometimes people are out walking the dog, and you think you're talking to somebody, but there's nobody there. Okay. Okay, so we have thought. Your thoughts. Now, I've gone over this a few times in other webinars, and I'm going to stress it again in this one. I'm going to dive into this a bit more. Thought is boss. Now, you've heard this before. You wouldn't be on this webinar if you haven't already looked at this in some respects. Maybe you've seen some Facebook posts that all you need to do is think positive, change your thinking, and you'll be a better person. Okay? And nothing wrong with that at all. The fact is, thought is boss, because how you think before you go into an interview, your opinion of yourself before you go looking for a relationship. What else do we have? Your idea about whether you're going to succeed or not. So, for example, if you're starting a business and you're thinking, I'm in trouble. It's only starting, but I'm not able for this. That thought is going to affect your emotion. Emotion comes second. Number one is thought. Number two is emotion. And so you mentioned here, a few of you mentioned about feeling down, emotions, and so forth, and your self-esteem. So your thinking comes first, your emotions come second. So whatever you're thinking determines your emotions, and then this determines your actions. Now look, it would be very easy for me to say to you, all you have to do is just change your thinking. So for example, you're going into the job interview, you've studied for it, you know what you're going to do, and you know you're good at the job. And so instead of thinking going in, you know what, I'm not going to get this, or they're going to hate me, you go in, you change that, and you say, okay, well, actually, you know what, I've studied enough, I'm good enough. In fact, I'm more than good enough, and I think I can get this job. So the fact is that you do have the ability to change your thought. It is a natural ability. You have a thought and you just change it. However, in some cases, in many cases, easier said than done. And the problem is maintaining it. So when you read all these Facebook posts and Instagram and TikTok, and they say, oh, just be positive, just think like you're the best person in the world. And you go and you try that, and it's fine for a while. But then all it takes is one thing, knocks you down, and then you're on the floor again. Okay? So, but nevertheless, this is true, that what you think is boss, and how you think is going to determine how well you succeed in life. Even if you've had all the training in the world, and you're very, very skilled at different things, and you know a lot of stuff, but if you start thinking that, you know what, it's not working out, or let's say you've had, you've got good experience in let's say dealing with people, and you know how to deal with a partner and how to improve your relationship, and you've learned it all over the years, but then you start thinking, she hates me, or he hates me, or he's bad, or I'm never going to get the right guy, or I'm gonna get a really bad person. These thoughts can come in, affect you emotionally, which will also determine your actions. Okay, so that's the first little aspect too. So the reason I want to mention that to you is because positive thinking is something that's promoted very much, but it's so hard to maintain. You know, it should be natural. Your positive thoughts should be natural, okay? They should be natural. You shouldn't have to fake them. They should be there with you naturally. I've had times when I've had something that I needed to deal with, you know, and I've gone, okay, you know, I'm not 100% prepared for this, so all I'm going to do is think positive. I'm going to try and, okay, Vincent, it's going to be great today. It's going to be a fantastic day. Everything's going to go brilliant. Right. Now that's great. It actually makes you feel good, but it doesn't really change the fact that I wasn't quite prepared enough for what I was trying to do. If I was prepared enough, I wouldn't have needed to kind of push in that whole positive thinking. So your thoughts should be naturally positive. Now, I want to do a little exercise next. And what is this? I wrote it down before I forget. Okay, so I want you to recall a time when you were happy and relaxed. And if you don't mind popping it in the chat, that would be great. So recall a time in your life when you were happy and relaxed. And if you don't mind popping in the chat, that'd be great. So recall a time in your life when you were happy and you were relaxed. You were, you know, you felt good. And it was natural. It felt good. Okay, let's see. Brendan, last time when you were drunk, thank you. All right. Watching Star Wars with my partner last night, fantastic, Holly. Okay, Kimberly, when my twins were kicking in my belly, oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I know what that feels like from the guy perspective too. That's beautiful. Okay, Kimberly, thank you. Richard, sitting by the pool in the sun. Wonderful. Thank you. And then Safia, when I was in Disneyland. Okay, lovely. Yeah, Disneyland is quite a place. I've been there as well. Beautiful. Fun. Okay, so generally, when you are relaxed and when you are happy, your thinking is generally positive. There's one slight exception, is that when you're drinking, it has a different effect. Actually, let me ask you there, whoever put the comment on the drinking, was there a time when you were happy and relaxed when you weren't drinking? Okay, pop that in. Because generally, when you are feeling good and you are relaxed and you're happy, generally, you are naturally thinking positive. There's natural positive thoughts happening. And wouldn't it be nice if those natural positive thoughts were with you continuously? Okay? Just with you continuously. But as we know, it doesn't quite always work out like that, because you might wake up, you might be starting off your day and you're in a great mood and you're thinking like everything's going to go well. Something hits you, you have an argument, I don't know, someone crashes into your car, you get a call from the school saying your kid's after putting another kid in a headlock and please come and collect them. And so it can change your mood from somebody who's happy to bad. So the thought changes to negative, and then subsequently the emotions change to negative and the actions change to negative. Okay? Now look, what we're going to dive into right now, or very shortly, is into this bit here, and I want to show you the basic underlying problem. Okay? Because it is true, there are external factors. Okay, and I'm not going to knock external factors. I wrote down a couple of examples here. First example that can affect your negative thinking is how your life is going and how confused or how orderly it is, or is there too much on your plate? So there can be aspects of your life and the way it is that can affect your thinking. That's for sure. Next one, how skilled and how confident you are. For example, if you are a mechanic, but you didn't quite finish the course in mechanics and you don't quite know how to fix the car, you're going to be constantly questioning yourself and doubting yourself. Whereas if you're a very knowledgeable mechanic, you've got good experience, you tend not to think negatively. So it does depend a lot on skill and confidence. And the last one, which I mentioned in pretty much all of my webinars, is somebody putting you down in life. If you have an individual that you're connected to, even if you've been connected to that person for a long time, and they constantly criticize you, constantly put you down in a very nice way or a very not nice way, it can certainly affect your thinking. So those are just 3 sample things that could be happening externally, which can affect your negative thinking. And there are things that you need to deal with, but they're not more important than what I'm going to tell you tonight. They're not okay, they're very important, but there's more that you need to know. Okay? So now we're going to have a look at thoughts itself. And then we're going to have a look at where the negative thoughts are coming from. Okay, so now let's break this down. And I'm going to, again, share with you my wonderful art. I shouldn't. I'm an amazing, you know what? It would be all very fine for me to tell you, oh, Vincent, and I start thinking to myself, Vincent, I'm an amazing artist. Like, I could say that to myself and try to think positively. Vincent, I'm an amazing artist. But, I'd need to do a big, long course. I mean, right now, this is it. This is it. Okay. This is a body. Okay? We're back to the webinar now. Away from Vincent's art, back to the body. Okay? All right. So you have a body. All right? And I got yours. Fernanda, doing a meditation 4 weeks, fantastic. Brendan, when I was playing with your daughter in the park, that's fantastic, Brendan. Thank you. Okay. Now, everybody has a body. Now, little exercise. You don't have to write this in the chat, but I just want to have a look. Just have a look at your hands. And I don't know if you can see your legs, your stomach, or whatever. I think we can agree we all have bodies, okay? These things, all right? There's meat in them, there's bone, there's all sorts of good stuff in them. Bit of cake in there, you know, hamburgers, whatever. You have a body, okay? I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that point. Fantastic. Okay, Vincent, is that all the webinar is about? No. The next thing we're going to have a look at is a thing called the mind. Okay, now, let me just take this opportunity to give out about something, okay? Because I like to do a bit of giving out on each webinar. It just makes me feel good. I don't know, it makes me feel good. I feel that I need to knock this. Okay, there are certain groups of people who will tell you that it's all complicated. Your mind is all in here within your skull. It's all to do with the brain. Everything is the brain. It's all to do with the brain. And the chemicals this and the chemicals that, and you too much of this chemical equals a lack of that chemical. And okay, who cares about the theory of it? What I don't like is the practice that comes about from that theory. So if you have a person who's negative thinking, right, and you go to a certain profession, I won't step on any toes here now in case I get myself into trouble, and they'll tell you, oh, it's no problem. All it is, it's a chemical imbalance in your brain, which is this is affecting your coordination, and that's that. That's the theory. Great. And we have a solution. The solution is we can give you a whole selection of things. We can try some electric shock if you like. I don't mind. I mean, in Ireland, that used to be much more prevalent. It's not anymore because it's brutal, in my opinion. We'll give you some electric shock. Hey, why don't we just try you on a various collection of drugs and see which one works. We'll just use you as a guinea pig for a couple of years and just see how you get on. And sure, if that drug doesn't work, we'll try another one. And the whole idea is to get the chemicals going, and for some mad reason, it all works out amazingly, and then you get hooked on the drugs. So this is why I want to give out. I just want to take that moment to give out. Now I'm done. I have it out of my system. Thank you for listening. Okay, now let's look at the facts. Your mind And you're going to see how this is going to relate to your negative thinking in a minute, okay? Your mind is a collection of pictures from your past, okay? Pictures. These are pictures. Now, I'm going to do 2 exercises with you. And I would like you, at the end of this first exercise, you don't have to write down what you got, but just let me know with a yes or a thumbs up that you did it, or a smiley face, okay? So here's the first thing. I want you to, okay, most of us have had a pet, or most of us have a pet. We've got a dog or a cat or a budgie or a hamster, or some people have rats these days. You can have like gerbils and all sorts of interesting creatures. Some people have, a friend of mine has a parrot, okay? Now, what I want you to do, but if you don't have a pet, don't worry. You can do this as well. I want you to close your eyes and just remember your pet. Close your eyes and get a picture of your pet. Okay, open your eyes. Now, pop in the chat, let me know if you're able to do that. Did you get, or you can give me a thumbs up or whatever, did you get a picture of a bear or whatever? Kimberly, got it? Anybody else get it? Okay, Brendan, thank you. Fernanda, Kimberly, thank you. Richard, lovely. Okay, that's fantastic. But anybody not get it? Anybody not get it? Michelle, thank you. I didn't even say hello to Michelle at the beginning. Hello, Michelle and Kimberly and Anna and Christoffel. And thanks very much for having on your camera there, Christoffel. It's nice to see you. Okay, good. So that's what we call a picture. And that is contained in the mind. Now, next exercise. I want you to recall a pet that you knew from years ago. Okay? A dog or a cat or a budgie or a cow, a horse. So just close your eyes and get a picture of that pet that you knew years ago. Okay, you can open your eyes if you haven't, if you've got your eyes closed. I don't even know if you've got your eyes closed or not. I can see Richard there. I don't know if you did or not, and I just don't catch up on them. But you got it? Did you get a picture of a previous pet that you owned? Kimberly, I got that. Richard, thank you. Very good. Okay, good. Now, all of your experiences are stored in picture form. Everything you have observed, all of these, everything you have seen, tasted, smelled, experienced, are stored in picture form. And in this subject called Dianetics, we call this the time track. Okay? It's a very exact sequence of experiences, and your pictures are on that track. That's pretty simple, okay? So you have a picture of your pet, and you have a previous picture of your pet, and you're able to go back on your time track. So if you can imagine this, every day you're going, no, I'm going to go old school right now. Every day you're going around recording, recording stuff. Everything you see, you smell, taste, and feel, everything gets stored. And this is what we call the mind. The mind about all that mumbo jumbo of it's all in a lump of meat. The mind about that mumbo jumbo. Your mind is basically a collection of pictures from your past. Okay. Now, so we have that, and it's all stored in the time track. Next thing I want to ask you. So here is the next exercise I'd like you to do. This first picture of the pet, okay? Am I giving you too hard work here to do? Is it too stressful? Is it too late at night to be doing these things? I don't know. But anyway, this is the last of this exercise anyway, so hopefully I've still got you. What I want you to do now, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and just keep your eyes closed, okay, for a second, okay? So close your eyes and get a picture of the recent pet. In other words, the first picture that you looked at. Close your eyes, keep them closed, and get a picture of that pet. Now, with your eyes closed, answer this to yourself. Who is looking at that picture? Who is looking at that picture? Okay, now you can open your eyes. Now, let me just ask you this. I obviously got you to close your eyes and have a look at a picture. Now, your eyes were closed. So, who or what is looking at that picture? You can answer in the chat. Who is looking at the picture? Or what is looking at the picture? Kimberly, me. Michelle, I am. Anybody else? Fernanda, me, my mind. Okay, anybody else? Christopher, me. Very good. Okay, yeah. Right, exactly. So now let's enter in one last little factor here. Okay, well, I can take away the word body here because we know how it spells. And we'll take away my criticism of the brain. Okay. So let's put in one other factor, which we have here. And this is you. Okay? So when I asked you, who's looking at the picture? Most of you said me. Who said me? My imagination. Okay, good. So we have three major factors here. When you're looking at, like, I'll just take up Holly's thing about your imagination. It's still a picture. When you're imagining something, it's a picture. But it's still you looking at the picture. Now look, I don't want to get too philosophical here. But there are three aspects. There's your body, which you've seen. You've got it there. You wouldn't have been able to log in if you didn't have one. Your mind, which you've also seen, because I asked you to have a look at a few pictures that are in that mind. You have a mind. And then there's you. Then there's you. Now, honestly, folks, I don't care what you want to call this. You can call it the spirit. You can call it life force. You can call it life energy. You can call it the soul. You can call it whatever you want. I just call it me. Or you can call it you or I, whatever it is. And most people, when they answer, it says it's me or I, whatever. That is, so there's you, there's your body, and then there's your mind. Now, next question for you. If you are the one looking at your pictures, let me ask you a question. Where are your thoughts coming from? We're going back now to the negative thoughts. Thoughts, okay? Where are your thoughts coming from? Okay, so we've looked at this. Now, where are your thoughts coming from? Are they coming from this, or this? Where are the thoughts coming from? Thank you, Kimberly. I'm going to address that in a second. Where are your... Okay, so we're at this webinar about how to stop negative thinking. Now I want to ask you, where are your thoughts coming from? Which of these do you think is most likely? Anybody want to stab a guess? Okay, we'll start. Kimberly, my perceptions. Perceptions basically means you using your body to perceive or see things. Okay? So essentially, your answer is you. Michelle and Fernando, we get this answer a lot. Your mind. Good, I'm going to clarify this in a second. And Holly, me. Now, okay, so this might be good news or bad news. The good or bad news, whatever way it comes from, is that thoughts are generated by you. But those thoughts that you generate, you're the one that generates them. Those thoughts that you generate come from your examination of these pictures. So when you have a problem in life, okay, let's say you are wanting to go shopping. You've got kids and you've got a budget of €200. And you've learned that Lidl and Aldi and Dunnes, they all do special deals on certain types of things. So you go to Lidl, Aldi, Dunnes, Tesco, Marks and Spencer's, and you have the exact sequence worked out because you have learned it already. So you have a look at what you've learned, and then you come up with the thought. So you think, okay, I've got €200. I've got to buy food for the kids, and myself, of course, and my partner, and whoever else. Where do I go? So you have a look in your mind at the information that you've learned, and then you decide, you know what? I'm going to go to all 4 of them. Or this week, I'm only going to go to Lidl. Or this week, I'm not going to do shopping. I'm going to make my partner do it. So in other words, you examine your pictures from the past, the information that you've learned, to make decisions and to come up with these thoughts. Now, if this is all in good shape, okay, if your mind is nice and orderly, if it's in a healthy condition, guess what? Your thoughts are going to be positive, naturally, without any effort. You'll just go, for example, you're going for a job interview, okay? You've learned everything about the job. You've practiced to the wall, and everything is fine. You've done everything that you need to learn. There's no gaps. That thought going into that interview is going to be positive. Let's take relationships. Let's say you've got experiences with relationships in the past. You've met a couple of different types of guys. You know what they're like. You know how they react. You understand them much more. So now you can decide naturally positive. And when I say positive, I don't mean, oh, all men are amazing. Oh, all men are just amazing. I don't mean that, because that's a bit unrealistic. But what you will be thinking is, look, I know what type of guy I want, and I know what type of guy I certainly don't want. Now, I might be able to talk to this type of a guy. I'm not necessarily able to talk to this type of guy, but I know I can work on it. It's still positive. So in other words, what I'm saying to you is this. If your mind is in good condition, because this is where you get all your information, and from the external world, your thoughts are going to be naturally positive. So where do the negative thoughts kick in? Okay, the negative thoughts, I'm going to get rid of some of this, folks, some of the information here. The negative thoughts are coming from, obviously, they're being generated by you. They're being generated. But it's a bit like when you're looking to solve a problem. If somebody gives you false information, you can make a wrong decision. For example, if you're running a business and you ring up, the shop and say, hey, Bill, how's it going in there? Have we enough bread? And the guy says, oh, yeah, we've plenty of bread. And he didn't even look. Then you won't order bread for the next day, for example, and things go down. So you make a mistake based on false information. Now, in your mind, there are hidden pieces of data which you are not able to see. They're buried. And these things are buried in a separate, kind of a compartment of your mind, which is not under your control. And what it does is it feeds incorrect information into the computer. It's a bit like, by the way, let me just do a quick survey. Has anybody ever had a virus happen on your computer? Anybody ever catch a virus on your computer? Kimberly. Okay. Anybody else? Any viruses? Or one of the, what do you call those other things? Anyway, if your computer catches a virus, okay, there's nothing really wrong with the machine itself. There's nothing wrong with it. But there's incorrect data being fed into the computer. So when you type into your computer with a virus, www.google.com, and then all these other websites start flashing up, you know that there's something that's telling the computer to do something different than what you wanted. You want to go to Google. The computer sends you to I want to buy a parrot.com, or I don't know, 6 ways to get rich.ie, and you get all these websites flashing up. There's nothing wrong with the computer, but just there's been incorrect information being fed into it. So when we get into negative thoughts, this negative and hidden information gets into the computer and gets into your thinking, and that is what makes you think negatively or irrationally. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of this, but before I do, I'm going to tell you what's in here. The two major parts of this section of your mind, they store two things. One is moments of physical pain. So if you have an operation, or you have an accident, or a car crash, or you really badly injure yourself, you fall off your bike, you fall out of a tree, I don't know, you catch your hand in the door when you're closing it, or I don't know, a car falls on your foot, whatever. Moments of physical pain tend to shut this off, create a little bit of unconsciousness, and the information all gets in here. Okay, quick survey. I'll take the first one or two answers. Anybody here have a recent physical injury? And if so, could you pop it into the chat? I just want to get an example. Yes, in your phone. I don't even remember that last one. Okay, Kimberly, car accident. Great, good. Anybody else want to pop one in before we move on? Okay, so it's car crash. Now, during a car accident, usually there's an impact and there's a physical injury. During that impact, the lights go out here to a small degree or a large degree, and the information gets stored in here. Okay, next one that's in here is loss. Okay, you lose somebody close to you, a family member, a friend, a pet, a job. Okay, so quick survey. Anybody lost somebody close to them recently? Okay, Kimberly, lost your best friend. Thank you. Okay, thank you for those. Now, similarly with a loss, when you lose somebody close to you, it's a little bit like being hit by a baseball bat. The lights go out to a small degree and the information gets stored in here. So over time, what happens is you accumulate painful experiences, accidents, operations, losses of people throughout your life. And those things get stored in this compartment. And in Dianetics, we have a name for it. It's called the reactive mind. And I want to tell you why it's called reactive. Let's take an example here. Let's take car crash. Okay? So a person has a car crash, let's say at the age of 10. They're driving with their mother, and the mother crashes into a wall, and the kid gets a very bad head injury. All right? So there we go. It's stored there. Now, when this person, years later, goes to do driving lessons, the sight of the car triggers off this car crash. Information starts to get fed in here. Don't go there, don't go there. Danger, danger, danger. And it starts affecting this computer, and it starts affecting the information that you're getting. And then you come up with the thought, you know what, I can't do this. I can't drive a car. I'll be no good. I'll just crash it. Cars are dangerous. I'm too nervous. I'm a worrier. It's not going to happen. Okay? Let's take another example here. Let's say loss of best friend. Let me just take an example here. Let's say you were in love and you lost your partner. Okay? Lost your partner, and that happened 10 years ago, but it was a major, major upset for you. You lost somebody very dear to your heart. Okay? That's stored here. Now, here you are, years later, trying to get into a new relationship. Okay? It's going fine until a few days he comes home and he's angry over something. And that's exactly how the partner was before they left in that loss. So this new angry situation triggers off the loss, feeds incorrect information, or feeds the information, stay away from this guy, stay away. And you get these thoughts coming in of, oh, no, I don't trust him. I don't trust anybody. They're all the same. Men are dangerous, women are dangerous. And in other words, what I'm saying to you is that the computer isn't working correctly. It's not that there's anything wrong with the computer. It's just being fed incorrect information, which is affecting your thinking. And that thinking is affecting your emotions and then your actions. But the number one is thinking. Now, last example of the night. Okay, engram. Yeah, engram would be the actual definition of what this is: an incident with physical pain, impact, and unconsciousness. Thank you, Christopher. Okay, now, this is the primary source of why you think negatively. Because remember, when you're thinking negatively, you don't want to be thinking negatively. So obviously, there's something affecting you without your consent. If you wanted to think negatively, of course you could, if you wanted to. But let's say you want to think naturally positively, but you're thinking negatively, which means something is influencing you. And the thing that's influencing you is a buried package of physical and emotional pain. How do we know this? We know this because when it gets cleared up, the person thinks clearly and becomes naturally positive. Not emotionless, naturally positive. Now, last exercise of the evening. Can anybody give me one example of something in life that triggers you and changes you from somebody who thinks positive to somebody who thinks negative? Even, let's say, on a day or a week. Just give me one example of something in life that can change your thinking from positive to negative, and pop it into the chat. Is it somebody shouting at you? Is it the weather? Is it being late? Is it, I don't know, getting stuck in a traffic jam? What is one example of something that happens to you that changes you from positive thinking to negative thinking? Okay? Brendan, somebody making smart, I guess that remarks. I guess so. Good. Not feeling respected. Very good. Michelle, thank you, Richard. Michelle, having too much to do. Got it. Or snide comments. Okay, thank you, Brendan. Okay, very good. Thank you. So these are all examples of things that trigger you off. Now, let's be honest. It shouldn't. Like, I take a couple of those examples, Kimberly, when others lie. Thank you. There's 100% a need to learn how to deal with critical people because they can really try their best to pull you down. Okay? But how is it that they can change your thinking so easily? You know, you were so enthusiastic, and then they just told you, well, you don't look that good, and then all of a sudden, you're down. All they did, whether they knew it or not, was they pressed some button, deliberately or accidentally, which affect your thinking. What should happen is, we'll take a couple of those examples. Okay, snide comments when others lie, having too much to do, not feeling respected, right? Even if a lie and then deny the truth. Good. Yeah, good one. Christopher, thank you. If somebody's criticizing you or saying you're no good, or if you've got too much to do, somebody criticizing you should be able to go, okay, great. Well, thank you very much for your opinion about how bad I am. Love you too. Amazing. Anyway, I'm going to continue to have a nice day. And what you have said hasn't affected me in any way. But good luck with that. Okay, should be like that. Or if you've got too much to do, you have so much to do. Well, logically, you just write it down and just get one thing done at a time. You know, you do your best to get everything done. Why should it happen that along with all that quantity of things to do, you also start thinking negatively? Okay, so folks, thank you so much for the examples. Now, I want to touch off how to handle this. I could come on this webinar, and I had a choice at the beginning of this webinar to give you tips and so forth, but tips and so forth are fine, and there's lots that you can learn about different aspects of some of which I mentioned earlier, but it's much better to get to the root of a problem. And if you get to the root, you can really handle the source of your negative thinking, and that's this. So here is how to handle it. And thank you all for waiting so much. I'm just going to show you this for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to tell you what I have as my next step, as your next step, and what I would recommend, and then we'll wrap up. If anybody wants to stay for any questions and answers at the end, please feel free to do so. I'll leave it opened, okay? Now, in this subject that I brought over before, and as I mentioned at the beginning, it's based on this book called Dianetics. It means through the mind. And this book explains everything I've gone over in much greater detail, okay? And it also explains the procedure. Now, Dianetics is done with two people. The person who is delivering the help is called an auditor. An auditor means a person who listens and guides. The person who is receiving the help has got their eyes closed, they're wide awake in a session, and the name for this person is called a pre-clear. Pre means before, and clear is basically the end result, okay? In Dianetics, there is an end result, and that end result is called clear, and that is basically you back to being you again. Back to being able to think clearly, back to being naturally positive thinking, naturally, without having to fake it. In a session, typically they last between 1 and 2 hours, depending on what happens. The auditor is using the exact 10-step procedure in the Dianetics book to help a person to open up the lid in this reactive mind and start pulling stuff out and re-experiencing the incident using the exact procedure. When you've cleared up one incident, usually what happens, another one becomes visible. You clear up that one, then you recall another one. In other words, it's like peeling an onion. You take off the layers and stuff shows up. So what you're doing in a Dianetic session, using the procedure correctly, and this isn't just chitter chatter, talk about, football or anything like that. It's very exact, and it's a very easy to understand sequence. This person is going to return to a moment of physical or emotional pain. Not just remember it, return to it, and re-experience it, and communicate with the auditor. And the auditor is going to get the person to do that a few times. If it doesn't fully clear up, and it often should, it means there's an earlier one connected to it. And that will become visible as you start clearing this. There's more to learn on it, and there's more to learn on the procedure. But it's a very straightforward series of steps. Now, what you're trying to do is you're not trying to erase incidents necessarily. You're not trying to wipe out your life. What you're trying to do, you're trying to get rid of the pain that is stored in your past, which is affecting your thinking today. In a computer that gets a virus, you need antivirus software to get rid of the virus so that your computer can work correctly. This is somewhat similar in that you're finding out what the buried stuff is. You're looking at it, you're re-experiencing it, and I have to say, it can be tough sometimes, but it's better to go through it than to avoid it. And when these are all cleared up, what happens is this thing loses its power to influence your thinking, and you can think naturally. Does that mean you become emotionless? No. It means you become much more yourself and much more free to express your emotion depending on your thinking. So for example, at a funeral, you decide, you know what, I really miss that person and I'm very sad that they're gone. And then the emotion will follow. Okay, that is the basic procedure of Dianetics. So to summarize, I'll give you a couple of things that you need to look at on the external side. Putting your life in order, improving your confidence, and dealing with people who put you down. Those are external things that you can learn more about. We've got booklets about those things. But even if you learn those things, if you don't handle this stuff here, it tends to grow every time a new stressful incident occurs in your life. So the ultimate proper solution is to learn how to do this yourself. And this is why what I've put together for you is an education step. And it's something that I recommend for everybody, and I want to show you that right now before we drop off. So this is what I've put together and what I would strongly recommend you do, because honestly, the best solution is education so that you know about this, and then you can decide for yourself if what Vincent said tonight connects, or if it makes any sense, or if it's true or false, or if it's just baloney. So, the Dianetics book. Let me go over a few bits and pieces. I'll show this on my own big screen so I can read it as well. Okay, a couple of basics. The real source of unwanted behavior, thought, and emotion. So you learn about the reactive mind, about this thing that you are carrying around with you every day that affects your computer. Next, full discovery of the parts of the mind and how they work. So you learn about the positive mind, which is your normal thinking mind, which I went over earlier, and the reactive mind and how they affect your decisions, and also how it affects your body. Like 70% of illnesses have been said to come from mental causes. Book 3 of this book, there's 3 books in this one book, explains the full step-by-step therapy to fully clear up the stuff that's happened to you in the past, to find it and to clear it. And it's been translated into 50 languages. Okay, so that's lots. And I have a special offer on tonight. If you get the book tonight, it will be sent to you with free shipping. Now, there's something extra. If you're not a book reader, there is also the option of getting the Dianetics DVD. This is a 2-part, it's a 2 DVD set. There are 32 mini movies, total 4.5 hours long, and it shows you all of the aspects, all of the main points of Dianetics. Plus, it shows you practically exactly the step-by-step approach that you use in order to actually apply the therapy of Dianetics. So you can literally watch this with a friend or a family member and start using Dianetics straight away. So if you're not a book reader, you can get the Dianetics DVD and watch it yourself on your computer or whatever at home, on your PlayStation. Okay, so that's that. Now, and this is just to encourage you to get it tonight as opposed to any other time. If you get it tonight, and there's going to be a link going up for it shortly, I'm going to put in this additional book. It's a booklet. It's called The Hubbard Dianetics Auditor Procedure Guide. Now, this has been the main manual that's used in the training of Dianetics auditors who are beginning. And what it does is it shows you, first of all, what's called standard procedure, and in a very, very simple, straightforward way, what steps you take in order to help somebody to clear up their negative thoughts and to clear up this reactive mind. And the first thing is an interview, and you basically ask the person numerous questions. And if you were receiving auditing yourself, these questions will be asked. And then in a very simple way, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, up to step 10, it shows you exactly the simple steps you take to run a Dianetic session. And in addition to that, it's got all sorts of other techniques that you can use for various situations that might crop up in a session. So this is basically a book that you would have with you on your lap when delivering a Dianetic session, and basically shows you how to do it. Okay, very easy to read, and that is going to be included in the package tonight. So if you're interested and you want to get a copy of the Dianetics book, or you want to get a copy of the Dianetics DVD, this is going to be sent to you as well. Okay, and that's free of charge. Total cost is 20 euros. Now, if you're to buy the Dianetics book on its own, it's 20 euros. If you're to buy the Dianetics DVD on its own, it's 23 euros. And the book is this very special book which comes with the package tonight, which is normally for auditors. So you get basically the manual and the book for 20 euros, or you can get the DVD and the manual for 20 euros as well. So there will be a link going up there, as Eric has done so right now. If anybody's interested, and honestly, folks, I really strongly recommend that you learn more about this. Okay, it's fine to listen to myself on a webinar because I've been doing this for over 25 years. I know it works. I'm only doing this because I want to help you. That's my only purpose. I'm not here for any other reason. To learn about this stuff, to give yourself an opportunity to find out. But the key thing is education. Because I've had many people come to me and say, oh, Vincent, come on, clear up all the stuff for me. And I said, okay, do you know what it's about? Oh, no, I have no idea. Some other fella told me it was great. First thing I recommend to people is just read the book or watch the DVD and get a little bit of a flavor for yourself in your own spare time about what it is and decide for yourself if it's something that you'd like to do. But honestly, folks, I would strongly recommend getting these and get them tonight because they will really help you. And plus, if you have any questions on the book or the DVD, you can always email us afterwards, and your emails can come straight to me if you have any questions for me personally. Okay, folks, so I want to say, leave the floor open now for any questions that people might have. I'm going to leave that offer there for about the next 10 minutes. And I'm just going to ask you, well, first of all, to say thank you for being here with me until the end. And I can see there's a few people left, and Christoph L., Richard, and thank you for having your cameras on the whole time. It's much appreciated. Brendan, Anna, Kimberly, and Michelle, thank you for being here for me and with me and helping me for the whole webinar. And so I just want to give you the opportunity now, if anybody has any questions, you want to pop them into the chat, please feel free to do so now. And those questions can be about anything that we went over on the webinar. If there's anything you didn't understand, if there's something about you personally that you'd like to find an answer to, if there's anything that you'd like to know about the book, Dianetics, or the booklets or the DVD, you can pop them in. Great. Kimberly, you're welcome. Michelle, you are very welcome. Richard, you are very welcome. And Brendan, you are very welcome too. Great. So if you have any questions, pop them in. And if not, I'll tell you one quick story, which is my usual story of the night, and then we will wrap up. Okay. And so if you have anything that you want to ask, pop it in. If not, don't worry. I'm not trying to force a question here. In fact, sometimes people ask very difficult, deep questions, and it takes me a little bit to get it together. But I can try answer whatever question is put there. You know, when I was growing up, I did have people that I loved who weren't doing too well. Okay, and the only solution, I grew up in the countryside myself. The only solution that was available to them was a little bit of what I went over earlier on. You know, take a pill, you'll be grand. Okay, well, next pill, and, you know, it just drove me mental because I thought, surely there must be something more than that. And I went traveling in Germany, and I came across this actually in Munich in Germany in the early 90s, this book. And I had been interested in self-improvement, mainly to help other people, to be honest with you. And It made sense. I started using it, got fantastic results, got stable results on others and in fact myself, and I've been promoting it and using it ever since, and that's for over 25 years. And as I mentioned at the beginning, it's only because it works. I don't like to be trying to promote something that's fancy but not workable. This is workable and you will get results from this. And if you need help when you are delivering a session or even when you're receiving a session, you can contact us and we can put you in touch with an auditor, or you can learn more on a seminar, or you can come and do a course. There's all sorts of different options that you can take. And some people want to get trained on it professionally, and we have a professional course as well on Dynetics, which you can try. At the end of the day, what I would say is that if all this did for you was helped you to be positive thinking in the future naturally, I think it would be a good step to take. Even if it just helped you to clear up the negative thoughts from the past so that you weren't stuck in the past all the time, I think it would be worthwhile. Right, folks, so there's no more questions coming in. I can see you're all patiently waiting there for me to wrap up, so I will. I want to say thank you all for everybody who's stuck with us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and for everybody left on Zoom. Unless somebody sneaks in a sneaky question, we will wrap up. So thank you very much, Christoffel, Richard, Eric for hosting, Brendan, Anna, Kimberly, and Michelle. Thank you very much for being here. I wish you all a beautiful evening. The link is going to stay there for about another 5 or 10 minutes. And so if you want to get those materials, they will be sent out to you ASAP. Okay, folks? So thanks a million for your time. Hope you enjoyed the evening. I certainly really liked having you here and for all your examples. Good night to you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.